Rocky Mount, Wake County, Raleigh, the triangle back there on the left. So we're out here around Tarboro and Princeville. This tornado warning goes until 5:45. It's about 10 after right now, and it's moving up to the north. So a day that has had us really concerned with heavy downpours as well as some thunder and lightning, some isolated flooding, has now produced our first tornado warning. We talked earlier about how it's kind of feeling tropical out there. Well, there is a giant area of low pressure well off to our southwest that's kind of spinning in all this tropical moisture. And while there's this giant spin in the atmosphere, there's also some little spins that have been possible. And we are now seeing that in the form of a tornado warning out in Edgecombe County. Let's zoom in a little closer and talk about who this is impacting. Number one, you can see pretty much everyone in Edgecombe County is getting some incredibly heavy rain. So that's going to result in some poor visibility, some isolated flooding, some ponding on area roads, which is not good since we're in the heart of rush hour right now. But the tornado warning in effect until 5:45 for central Edgecombe County. This severe thunderstorm is producing a little rotation. It's moving slowly off to the northwest at 20 miles per hour. And we don't have any ground truth, so nothing that we've seen with our eyes or heard from emergency services that there is a tornado on the ground. But it all starts with rotation up in the clouds, and that's where we have. So this is going to be right around Tarboro in the next few minutes. So everyone in Tarboro, if you're watching me right now, you have friends and family out there, you need to think about going to your safe place. Let's zoom in a little closer to Edgecombe County, and then we're going to do some kind of analyzing here. So this is in and around Henrietta, Mildred. This is northwest of Canida. Again, in and around Tarboro. You guys who drive that area, so if you're coming in from the south on Highway 33 or Highway 258, Highway 64 from the south, driving up north to Tarboro, those are some of the roads that this possible rotation could be. So let's kind of switch over from our traditional radar view to our Doppler winds, which, you know, we use the radar to see which direction the winds are going. And the area that we can see it, and it's very weak, I'll tell you that, is right there. So what we're looking for is, we are looking for where the green pixels, which there are plenty of right here, are kind of butting right up against the red pixels, which are just to the south, and where those two get together is where we could see some spinning. And like a traditional tropical system would do, the rotation is weak, but you know, when it comes time for a tornado to come out of the sky, it doesn't really matter if it's a weak or strong rotation. It's rotation, and it's a tornado warning. So it's not overly impressive, but it is there. So that's the rotation that we are seeing, and we're seeing it just south of downtown Tarboro. So in and around where 258 kind of comes into town and meets up with Highway 64. Again, a tornado warning for Edgecombe County on this Monday afternoon. You're watching CBS 17 News at 5 Live. Wes Hohenstein along with Dave Downey. Dave, you've been out in the rain. You have felt everything that we've all felt. Heavy rain, our biggest concern, but now an isolated tornado possible out in Edgecombe County. And
you said it well earlier about the tropical-like atmosphere. This looks like a tropical rain band pushing through in a lot of different ways. And as we saw last year with Debbie and with Helene, these sort of low-pressure systems, they're spinning. They can produce these tiny spinners, too.
Yeah, I hate for us to compare it to anything like what Helene was. But think about it. Helene was a leftover tropical system, which is low pressure. This is a giant low pressure center well off to the southwest. And what do low pressures do? Giant counterclockwise swirl. So we get a little bit of that swirling as the line moves through our area. And that's what we're seeing out east of I-95 in Edgecombe County.
Yeah, I had the suit on earlier, then I was out in the beast, and now got the polo on, and sometimes things come out of left field.
Listen, we're all working overtime. The radar's been working overtime. A couple things I want to look at. I want to switch back to radar because as I widen out here, you can see, you know, this is going to be a problem if we do actually see a tornado come out of this system. Incredibly heavy rain, which is going to reduce visibilities. I mean, we still have 3 hours until the sun sets, but heavy rain like this, low clouds, it's going to reduce visibility. This this could be impeded by heavy rain. Maybe you're not going to see anything. So this is not a situation where it's a good idea to go out and look for it. Not that it would be at any point. I guess maybe some of the good news is there's no lightning with this system, so we don't have that danger. But the heavy rain threat and the potential for an isolated tornado is there. And you're kind of pulling up. Are you seeing anything? Are you looking at the outbound and inbound winds as we kind of look and see how strong these winds are?
Yeah, if we go back to like 508, 509, we can really see why they issued this warning. Those hot greens, we're trying to combine with some not so hot reds. It's definitely rotating, and I can see why they issued the warning.
So we're going to go back in time here. Look at your timestamp at the top of your screen. So we're no longer live, but what we're seeing here is, like you said, we went back a few minutes, and the winds up in the clouds were much stronger, and that is why they issued the warning, because you get that really quick spin up, and that could be enough to drop it down, right?
Especially on these humid days when the cloud heights are so close to the ground, it doesn't take much to bring that rotation to the ground.
Yeah, so let's just kind of do a comparison so we can actually sample what the winds are doing up in the clouds. And so 10 minutes ago, when this tornado warning was issued, I'm putting a lot of numbers up there, but I just want you to see how strong the winds were in that direction. So what happens after that, we'll kind of play the radar forward just a little bit, see if we can get. So now we're looking for a little bit of a red pixel to pop up, telling us that winds are coming from the other direction. And this is where we would get the spinning, where those stronger winds are right there, right on top of Tarboro.
Bring up the correlation coefficient real quick, our debris tracker. We might have had a quick touchdown here just to the east of downtown Tarboro. I'm going to text the mayor of Tarboro right now. I did a story with him on Hurricane Floyd last year, see if he has any damage, because if we pull up the CC, there is a bit of a drop to the east of Tarboro, and that happened at 5:13, so about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, so now we turn on debris tracker, which essentially, you know, we can look at rain with radar. We can look at which direction the winds are going. We can see if a potential tornado is blowing up any debris from the ground, and that too would show up on radar. So let's take that from where we are now. Let me reset this. We're going to go back about a few minutes.
There it is right there.
And there's a lot of purple on the map, but we're not concerned with that. We're concerned with what's right over Tarboro.
Yeah, this is a pretty highly analytical product. The radar slices the atmosphere in two different dimensions. Things that look like raindrops are pretty circular, so it's a 1-to-1 dimension, but a 2x4 or some sort of debris is obviously not a circular raindrop. So either we can see hail or we can see tornadic debris with our debris tracker here, and you see that orange drop. That could be the indication of some tornadic debris. We're going to have to see. Let's look at the live
right. So for us, for meteorologists who are here analyzing this, you know, we definitely have been on alert today. The tornado warning gets issued. We've analyzed it with you. That's one level of concern. But when we see something on the debris tracker, that kind of changes things. That tells us that, yeah, this is very serious for us. So hopefully everyone in Tarboro is taking it serious, that we have showed you this is a more likely possible tornadic event in Edgecombe County.
It is, and luckily the winds have become a little bit less impressive in terms of rotation. They've become weaker in the past couple minutes.
Let's go back. So we're back to live radar now. And again, I'm talking to everyone in Edgecombe County right now, specifically in Tarboro, now maybe north of Tarboro, because that's where this potential tornado could have tracked. So we showed you what the winds looked like 10 minutes ago. So now let's kind of query that same area. So earlier we had 30 and 40 mile per hour winds. So a couple things here. So now we've got lower wind speeds, but we also don't have that other side of what would be the rotation. If you don't have two sides of rotation, you don't have a rotation anymore, so maybe you don't have a tornado. So we're seeing signs of weakening live on the radar right now at 5:20 now on Monday afternoon.
From the Tarboro Mayor, Tate Mayo, great guy. As far as I know, nothing to report. We'll let you know if I hear anything. Hopefully that is the case.
Yeah, right now we want everyone in the Tarboro area to hopefully be inside. Listen, everyone in Edgecombe County is getting some heavy rain right now. We're concerned about Tarboro areas north, a possible tornado, some rotation. So if you are in that area, please get to your safe spot. If you know friends and family out there, give them a heads up, let them know maybe they're on the road, maybe they're just not in front of the TV right now. But remember, in a tornado, you want to get away from windows. You want to get into the interior part of your home. You want to get out of a mobile home, get into a safe shelter, a low-lying area. And if you're in a car, you want to try to drive away from the impending tornado if at all possible. But again, a tornado warning continues to be in effect for the next 15 or 20 minutes for Edgecombe County.
Lance Blocker telling me 378 customers are without power in Edgecombe County. You have to wonder if this could be related.
Right. Right. So real quick, let's kind of reset as we now approach 5:25 on Monday afternoon. Just give everyone a big picture if you're kind of flipping around or just getting the TV on after being at school or at work today. So big picture is that heavy rain threat continues into tonight and the overnight hours. There are pockets of dry weather right now, or maybe less rain would be the more appropriate way to put it. But there is still some pockets of heavy rain. We still have that threat of flooding. But this afternoon, on the outer rain bands, that have pushed through our area, we have got some swirling up in the clouds, some rotation, and a tornado warning for Edgecombe County, specifically in and around Tarboro.
From the weather, this is 6 minutes ago. I think we're just seeing this. May hold on. The rotation they saw was becoming less impressive. They're continuing to evaluate, but they are not canceling the warning because it goes for another 22 minutes here.
Right, and that's exactly what we're kind of watching right here, you know, when we kind of step with you. And you know, as we say that, Dave, let's look what's happening north of Canida and south of Tarboro. So the original tornado warning, let's do this real quick. Let's go back over the last 30 minutes. And you're working on our secondary system. If we need to pop that up, say so. But let's kind of go back in time. Watch how all of a sudden those bright greens, okay, that's telling us stronger rotation right there. That's about 5:07. Okay, so from there, watch what happens. We go forward in time. What happens to the bright color greens? They go away. That's telling us a story. That's telling us that the winds are weakening. The rotation is weakening. But as we go back live now, look what's happening just to the south. What do you think of this little rotation possibly south now of Tarboro?
Well, luckily, the scan that just came in seconds ago looks a lot weaker there.
Yeah.
Hopefully that continues to be the case. Tate now saying they might have some damage there in the east side from the Summerfield neighborhood to Runnymede to Austin Pines. He's going to let me know if he hears of any damage.
Okay, so as we have both heard and seen here, we have a very possible tornado, if not some weather that is causing some damage, something that you need to take shelter from. We're going to send Lance Blocker, the Weather Beast, our news crews out there to keep an eye on our friends out in Edgecombe County. But, you know, everyone in Edgecombe County, heavy rain. Now a strong possibility that we've got some kind of damage. Is that just wind? Is it a tornado? We need to figure that out. But a definite serious situation east of the triangle out in Edgecombe County. And you kind of just look at the radar. You don't see much when you're just looking at standard radar, because on a classic tornado signature on the radar, we would see that little hook echo. We're not seeing that here.
This just looks like a tropical system on radar, on satellite, in terms of its presentation, with these bands pivoting from southeast to northwest. It's not a mid-latitude cyclone, not a usual setup for us in the month of May.
And, you know, we had that a couple weeks ago. We had traditional springtime thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes. And now a couple weeks later, we're getting, like you said, a tropical system that could still produce a tornado. You know, this is just going to add to the list. May is the busiest tornado month in our state. And unfortunately, we may be contributing to that today with a tornado warning that continues for the next few minutes for Edgecombe County. And again, a possible tornado with possibly some damage on the ground in and around Tarboro.
I wonder if they kept the warning going because they saw what was going on near Canida and
with
seeing,
that secondary.
could we see another quick spin up here?
Right. And as we look at the big picture, just to give everyone a heads up, if you're tuning in for a normal forecast, we've got more heavy rain to the south. So our flooding concern is still up there high on our list of what we're concerned with and why we're on alert today. So you might get a couple breaks in the next few hours, but there is more heavy rain that's going to rotate in and move in as we head into tonight. But again, our concern right now, some rotation has possibly produced a tornado in Edgecombe County, east of the Triangle, in and around Tarboro, and that tornado warning is now in effect until 5:45. And it's a slow-moving system, only moving 20 miles an hour. A traditional tornado thunderstorm might be moving 30, 40, 50 miles an hour.
Which drives home it just feels like it's August or September again with this type of a tornadic thunderstorm. Well, it's not even, is it even a thunderstorm? Doesn't have lightning on it. Right. Moving from southeast to northwest, and those tropical systems usually do spit out a couple quick spit-up tornadoes as they make landfall. This is not a tropical system, obviously. It has some current characteristics of one. With this tornado warning, I'm looking at the wind profile here in the atmosphere, and there's certainly enough low-level wind shear out there today to create tornadic potential, but we haven't seen any cells get really organized. It's hard for them to do that when it's just raining nonstop.
Right. So let's kind of reanalyze together. We're going to switch over to our velocity mode. This shows us what the winds are doing, and more importantly, where the winds are blowing, how they are blowing. And if we kind of look back over the last 30 minutes, remember, we're essentially looking for a chunk of green right up next to a chunk of red. That's a heads up to us that something is spinning in the atmosphere. So let's walk back together over the last 30 minutes. And so we see a couple things. Let me kind of reposition and zoom in here. So when we first got the tornado warning, we got something new in from the National Weather Service.
Yeah, they're thinking of canceling the warning here at the bottom of the hour, so in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Hopefully the
good news.
Lesser rotation continues, but
yeah,
go ahead.
As we're watching, as the Weather Service is saying, listen, if there's no more rotation, there's no more of a tornado threat, but watch how fast this pops up and then goes away. So I'll back it up again to right about, it was about 5:07.
Yeah, 5:09 maybe.
Okay, so
there's the strongest couplet right there. Yeah, 5:09.
So here's so this is the area we're watching. That's the brightest green right there, a little before 5:10, and that is possibly where the rotation started. And then watch how quickly it goes away. You know, usually you get a tornado on the ground, you get a tornado warning, you're seeing the spinning for 20, 30, maybe 45 minutes. But watch what happens as I'm just going to advance the map here. Watch on the left. Watch how that bright green, what happens to it? It's now just kind of a blah green, right? It's more of a muted green. That's telling us that the winds up there have weakened, the rotation has weakened. But just as you said, look what's going on down here around Canida. Watch how brief that one is. We go from about 10 minutes ago, and look, now that's gone too. So spins up quick, goes away quickly.
We're probably seeing these cells struggle to, we had no sunshine today. Temperatures it is muggy, but it is only 70 degrees. So there's not a whole lot of energy in the atmosphere. I think they're going to cancel this warning in the next 60 seconds, which I hope they do. And I hope we don't see too much damage reports. Hopefully we don't see any damage out of Edgecombe County. But that quick scan, that one scan we had on our debris tracker, kind of showed that we might have some damage east of Tarboro.
Yeah, and so we're talking in and around Tarboro and Edgecombe County, east of the Triangle, Shiloh Mills, Coakley, Speed, Leggett, right there around Highway 33. That cuts north out of Tarboro in Edgecombe County. Highway 258. This is the area where we possibly have some damage, where we have not only some incredibly heavy rain, but the makings of what was and now isn't a possible tornado-producing storm. So this is the area of most concern right now. And again, you heard from the mayor kind of reiterate what he was saying.
He said if it did touch down, it went from the Summerfield neighborhood to the Runnymede neighborhood to the Austin Pines neighborhood. Luckily, the east side of Tarboro is less populated than the southern, or really the northern and western sides of the city. So I know the landfill is east of the city. There's a lot of farmland not too far from downtown, and hopefully it missed any sort of densely populated areas in downtown Tarboro.
And again, it is now 5:30 on Monday afternoon. Wes Hohenstein alongside Dave Downey. We are continuing to stay nonstop because we have a tornado warning in Edgecombe County, specifically in and around Tarboro. We had some potential rotation. We picked up on our debris tracker the possibility that there was a tornado throwing up some debris from the ground. We're hearing from the mayor there might have been some damage, and this tornado warning continues now for the next 15 minutes. But it has been a CBS 17 severe weather alert today. Our biggest concern all day long was the heavy rain. The hour after hour of moderate to heavy downpours, occasionally some thunderstorms mixed in, that on top of the rain we got yesterday for Mother's Day. Flooding was our biggest concern, but we knew that there was the potential. There wasn't a tornado watch. It wasn't a level 2 or 3 severe weather threat. But with the way these bands of rain were kind of spinning through our area, we knew that it was a long shot that there might be something brief and weak. And that's exactly what we might be seeing in Tarboro in Edgecombe County.
Yeah, just watching the newest winds product here. This storm could be trying to cycle. It looks decent on that reflectivity, the reds, the oranges there on the map, and there's some good wind moving into the northern, we'll call it third of Edgecombe County, but not much rotation right now. They said they as in the Weather Service, they were strongly considering canceling the warning here at the bottom of the hour. Well, now it's 5:32 and the warning is still in effect.
Yeah, so like we have been keeping an eye on, and I just want to take another look, and, well, we've got maybe some, as you were just saying, cycling up and cycling down. Let's kind of go back through. We're again looking at our Doppler wind product. This is showing us which direction the winds are moving, how strong they're moving. Yeah, nothing. I mean, is something trying to get going out here, northeast of Tarboro? One thing, we have to be concerned with, too, is the fact that there's some really heavy rain. So you guys in Lawrence, north of Tarboro, getting some of the worst weather right now. Heavy rain for sure, probably some lower visibilities. Travel's going to be tough, ponding on area roads. And as we're looking at kind of the velocity, maybe some gusty winds, too, as we're seeing some, something trying to get going in the upper atmosphere of this tornado warning that, technically goes until 5:45, might come down a little sooner than that, Dave.
Seen some Facebook posts of some branches down here in East Tarboro. Not much more than that. We'll keep an eye on anything coming out of Edgecombe County there in East Tarboro. Leggett, Lawrence, Drawn, these are cities that are still in the tornado warning, and this is not a tornado, Wes, that you're going to see. Anything, if something did touch down on east side of Tarboro, that would have been a rain-wrapped, quick spin up. And I think they're keeping the warning up because they're seeing these greens, these outbounds, the winds away from the radar with a little bit of increase, but you don't have any reds. You need two Christmas colors there for rotation. We only have one of the two right now.
Yeah, so some bright greens. I mean, and to make a point, the first tornado warning had a little bit of red. It was very brief. And is this something that's trying to spin up there? We're in and around Lawrence, heavy rain there, maybe some rotation trying to get going, definitely some brighter greens. And as we kind of queried these earlier, kind of analyzing how strong those winds are up high in the clouds. I mean, that's what we're worried about. It may not be windy down on the ground, but if we get a big burst of rotating winds up in the clouds, that's what could produce another funnel cloud and possibly another tornado.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had a quick touchdown either in the east side of Princeville or east side of Tarboro. Hopefully it was just tree damage, as that's what we've seen on Facebook so far. That's all I've heard from Tate, the mayor there in Tarboro. Hopefully we can leave it at that in terms of damage. But there still is this warning in effect. I think no reds on the Doppler winds product, and you see on the radar product here that Wes has in motion. The Weather Service has decided to keep this warning going until 5:45, so 10 more minutes from now. It looks decent in terms of the reds, the hot reds on the regular radar product. So this is a cell that's not weakening. its rotation is not as strong as what it was 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, and here's an update from the National Weather Service at 5:34, so just in the past 60 seconds, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Tarboro, moving north at 20 miles an hour. Again, a slow moving. I mean, think about how long these heavy rain bands are staying over us. It's all moving slow. That's why it's not in and out quick. It's staying with us a long time. It's a slow moving cluster of cells, 20 miles an hour. I mean, think about driving 20 miles an hour down the road. It's not very fast, right? This is radar indicated rotation. Again, we don't have any new or further confirmation of anything on the ground, even though we are hearing some damage reports. This tornadic thunderstorm will remain mainly over rural areas of north central Edgecombe County, including in and around Leggett, and that's what we're looking at right now. This, again, north of Tarboro. So if you leave Tarboro, you go up to Leggett, that's Highway 33 north of town, and that's where this potential storm is. Now, listen, east of Leggett, which is, what is that? That's Highway 97 that kind of runs west to east. That is rather rural, not a lot of population out there, but listen, if you are out there north of Tarboro, this tornado warning is around Leggett and Lawrence, right there around Highway 97 in Edgecombe County. And just a reminder, you know, if you hear something that sounds a little different outside than what a normal heavy rain band would be, you want to go to the lowest level of your home, an interior room away from windows, cover your head, get your the family, including all the pets, find that safe space in your house. This is the time to be there. And it looks like we just got a new scan. Dave, what are we seeing on our velocity mode?
I think the east side of this warning, that part near Lawrence, might be the dominating rotation in this cell as it crosses out of Edgecombe County. They could extend this to the north towards Roseneath, Scotland Neck, out of Edgecombe County. We'll see if they decide to do that. This is about to cross the county line. They kind of have to make up their minds pretty soon, Wes.
Right, and this, so what we're seeing is, so again, some bright greens showing us a stronger burst of winds, and then, it's nothing significant, but the atmosphere has already showed us that doesn't have to be significant to produce a tornado today. Today's atmosphere is different than what we had 2 weeks ago and different from 2 weeks from now. So today's atmosphere can produce a tornado when we don't have substantial inbound and outbound winds up in the clouds where these tornadoes start to form. So this is around Lawrence, right where 258 and 97 come together. I'm going to switch back from our analytical mode. So everyone in Lawrence, heads up right now. Heavy rain in and around Summer Acres Road, Glenwood Lane, Fishing Creek Road. But as Dave was saying, this is about ready to move north into parts of Halifax County. So Halifax County, heads up for two reasons next. You're going to get some more heavy rain, and this little cell that possibly has produced a tornado is headed your way next.
Yeah, we need to watch that part of the cell. I think they're going to extend this further to the north out of Edgecombe County with this recent scan and with enough low-level wind shear out there. We have plenty of that today. We don't have warm temperatures. We have warm enough temperatures. That's for sure. So it's 5:39. This warning goes until 5:45, 6 more minutes. The rest of the radar, if you're in the triangle, you're saying what tornado warning? Because it's barely drizzling out there in Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill right now.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I mean, there are pockets of dry air, but listen, we're getting some heavy rain here in Wake County. It looks like some heavy batches of rain moving into parts of Hoke and Moore County, out toward Lee and Chatham County. No tornado threat there because we don't have any rotation up in the clouds, but still heavy rain and that threat of isolated flooding. It's very interesting. This is the first warning this afternoon in our state. We've had some flood warnings. We have not had any severe thunderstorm warnings. This tornado warning is the first one, obviously for our area, but for the whole region, the whole afternoon. So, the atmosphere was holding tight and holding steady with no rotation all day. And now we get this brief little spin up, and it has possibly produced a tornado out in Edgecombe County. And our tornado warning continues for the next 5 minutes.
And this is right in between radar sites here, too, between the Wakefield radar and the Raleigh radar. So the resolution the Weather Service has is not as great as I think they would want it to be. But of course, the question is this going to get extended into Halifax County?
So that's a great point. If Tarboro is right here, we've got a radar site way over here, a radar site way over there on your side of the desk, and the radar beam could be shooting over that tornado-producing cell. So yeah, that's why we don't have as good a resolution with our eyes on the radar as we'd like. But even despite that, we can still see there was a little bit of rotation.
Yeah, has there been anything new from the weather? Nothing yet. So they've got 5 minutes.
Excuse me. And as we kind of look at where we are now at 5:41 out in Edgecombe County, in and around Lawrence, again, that's who's under the gun right now. If there was something going on, it would be right there, because that's where we're seeing the green right up against a faint red. And on a typical day, we wouldn't be too concerned with that. But if anything does happen, that's exactly where it would be, in far eastern Edgecombe County. And again, if this, I'll switch back to regular radar, if this gets extended, it's going to be a new tornado warning that gets extended into parts of Halifax County, probably until 6 o'clock or 6:15. But as it stands now, an active tornado warning for Edgecombe County until 5:45.
Yeah, I'm looking at this pretty advanced product here off screen that examines how turbulent the air is, how much is it moving around, not necessarily which direction is it moving. And I think this is part of the reason they're considering pushing this into Halifax County.
Let's ask Jalen to take Max 2 real quick and kind of walk us through what you're looking at here. I'm going to check in with the Weather Service.
Yeah, so this is called the Spectrum Width product. It's pretty advanced in terms of radar meteorology, but it looks at how fast the air is moving around. If you know meteorology calculus, it takes a derivative of what the winds are in a certain area and sees how fast they've changed and which direction they're moving in. So those yellows, those oranges, those reds are where the wind is moving faster. It's turbulent, but it may not be rotating. That's why I think the Weather Service is holding off extending this warning into Halifax County, because there's not a whole lot of rotation here. You see some greens, but they don't really butt up with any reds. And the rotation is not what it was. That was when it was in Tarboro 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, I wanted to check, we've got a network of great cameras around town, just to kind of look with our eyes. We don't have anything in Tarboro, but just to kind of see what we're up against here. So you're going to see a lot of this around town. You're going to see some ominous looking clouds, some low clouds, some dark clouds amongst the heavy rain, maybe a lightning strike occasionally. So we're going to see a lot of this, but there's only one small part of the world right now that we're seeing some rotation up in the clouds, and that is with the active tornado warning that continues for the next couple of minutes for parts of Edgecombe County, north of Tarboro. So that's where the worst of the weather is right now. I want to zoom in just a little bit closer and kind of recheck our Doppler wind product as we kind of analyze this together with you on TV tonight. So again, this started down here in and around Tarboro. So we're going to play a little rudimentary game of connect the dots. So I want to go back to where we first really started to see things brighten up, and that was right there. So from where this is right here, Dave, so this is where we were talking about earlier. This is when the warning first came down, about 5:10. Okay, now let's kind of advance this out. Some of the brightness goes away, but kind of two new ones pop up. So here is the original cell. It kind of goes this way. All right, but then look where our concern is right now. This is where some of the brighter colors are now and where the rotation is. So it's, it's the same system, but it kind of split off there.
It found a fork in the road.
It did. And, fortunately, you guys north of Leggett were not really seeing any, and I'll take away all those scribbles, we're not seeing any rotation. We're not seeing anything that has us overly concerned, but is this part of the storm that's now literally crossing over into parts of Halifax County, right north of Lawrence, just west of Highway 258 near Roseneath and Droughton? Is that where the possible rotation is? And now that we have hit 5:45, the tornado warning has technically come to an end. What's the Weather Service saying?
Yeah, they said at 42, tornado warning expiration has been sent, but they're going to watch it closely for re-intensification, which it could be doing right now, actually. That latest scan that came in had some pretty hot greens right at the county line.
Yeah, so this is obviously a fluid situation. It's going to maybe rotate down, could rotate back up, but as of right now, we can sound the all clear for the threat of a tornado. The tornado warning for Edgecombe County has expired. Let's take a quick break, reset here in the Weather Center, and get over to Russ and Liz for a continuation of the news of the day, guys.